I'm Matt Hayes and this is the Orkla River. It might not have escaped your attention, it's a little bit bright for salmon fishing at the moment, so I thought I'd take a break, have a chat to Leif Stävmo, who's Guideline's product guru. What a nice way to describe you that is. A man who's going to try and unashamedly sell me these Skagit lines, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to try, mate. I was sold on it a few years ago when I started fishing for steelhead over in BC, and my good friend Jap, who was there, actually had this system and outfished me by a mile. And I was really trying to catch up on him with my normal Scandi style lines, but I didn't have a chance. And the reason for these lines being so superior in some certain fishing situations is the way they're built up to carry heavy sinking tips and big flies, very often weighted, efficiently out in the current, and also making sure they cut through the current lines and the turbulence that often is created in currents, right? And this is what they're designed for, and this is what they really do very, very well. And they sink the fly quick and fast down into a level where you have a chance of actually catching the fish.
Now, we've got a power team member called Jan-Erik Grambo, and he's been banging on about these lines so much, I've had to look into it. I'd previously thought that maybe I could use them at the back end of the season for resident salmon, but there's so much more to them. Tell us about the system first. How's it all kind of built up?
Well, first of all, it's a ready-to-go system, which means everything is looped up. You don't have to think about any lengths or anything like that. It's really easy. You hook it onto your rod and you're away. You can choose between 3 different sink speeds of tips. There is a T10, a T14, a T18, which basically means they're all super fast sinking tips, but they have different weights. T18 being the heaviest, and also the one that will cut through currents and turbulence faster than the others and really get you down quicker than the other two. So it's a pretty simple system like that.
So you get 3 tips with the kit.
3 tips, yeah.
And you can choose between a floating and an intermediate belly?
Yeah, it's actually an intermediate belly as well, and that's a newcomer to the system now. Yeah, you certainly have.
All right.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's fine. You can get spare tips. Tell me a little bit about the casting, because this is really important.
It is.
I'll tell you what's put me off them a little bit. A lot of people like to snap tee these things using very simple casts.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. However, I like to spay cast my lines.
Yeah.
So can I do it?
You can. The recommendations for these lines very often are for what they call sustained anchor cast, which means you actually anchor your tip into the water, and only the floating belly is actually what you aerialize and make a D-loop of. That means these lines in the total package with the tip and the belly are very, very heavy in comparison to our Scandinavian style lines. But you can very well go down in line weight on this system and use it in very similar weights to what we use on our lines today, if it's a Scandi line or a compact line or a Connect line. And you'll find that you can cast them just the way we normally cast our lines as well. So you don't necessarily have to use snap tees or circle Cs or double space to cast them. But that's how they originally were made. And the heavier the line you actually put on the rod, the more efficiently it will bring out bigger and bigger flies. That's actually where it comes from. The more mass you have, the easier it is to carry these tips and the fly. But as I said, you can work very, very nicely also with a traditional single spade if you go down in line weight.
Well, there's so many benefits with this. I'll just try and sum them up, because I know you won't. You'll just carry on if I let you. So we've got a very versatile line. You only need one line when you go fishing, because you've got all these different tips. You can control the fly, but you can get depth.
Yep.
And the other thing is, I know that they are very easy to cast. They absolutely fly out.
Yeah, they do.
I've seen them being cast.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when I'll give them a try. How's this for the deal? I think they'd be perfect for back-end salmon when there are fish a little bit deep and they don't want to come up to the fly, but you need a bit of speed off the current and get that fly down. I'll try them then. That's a decent deal, isn't it?
It's a deal, or you try it on a windy day like this today.
Stop. That's it. That's the deal. That's the deal.